At this point, Jim is going to cover, give a Nixle overview and a demonstration of some of the new features that are coming out, the easy sign up, social media integrations, and he'll cover that. I know we do have some higher ed institutions and PDs from higher ed that have joined, so he will be covering that from a law enforcement and higher ed perspective. So Jim, take it away.
Great, thanks so much, Mike. Let me see if you can have everybody see my screen here. You should continue to see the Nixle slide. Perfect. Thanks, Mike, and thank you, Dirk, for that information, for that background. Dirk definitely puts our system through its paces, and we love him for it. Maybe not our engineers. No, I'm kidding. We absolutely love him for it. Thank you, Dirk. Nixle is actually, Nixle is really proud to partner with agencies like Calhoun County, one of many agencies throughout the country at sort of different use levels and different population levels who tap into the system. And I really just wanted to take a few more minutes of your time just to give you a little overview of the system, as Mike pointed out, and I'll take you through the steps of publishing a message. For those of you on this call who are already Nixle users, this will be a bit of a refresher. For those of you who are new to the system or maybe thinking of coming on board, hopefully I'll answer some questions that you may have about how it looks and how the system works. Right off the bat, I just want to take a really quick minute to talk about Nixle and Everbridge. A lot of you may know we are the same company. Same company, different product offerings depending on a department's need and size. Everbridge acquired Nixle in 2014, and where Everbridge is primarily used by emergency management coordinators at a large city or county or state level for emergencies, severe weather like Dirk talked about, homeland security threats. Nixle is used by OEMs as well as law enforcement, schools, local businesses, who need to keep in touch with their employees, or even, just folks who patronize their establishment. But typically it's law enforcement and public information officers, PIOs, typically use Nixle, both for emergencies, but really for day-to-day engagement with residents. So we brought our two platforms together for that best experience from the smallest rural township, right up to the largest cities and counties, up to the federal level. So altogether, there are over 8,000 public safety agencies and schools, both K through 12 and higher education, are tapping into that network. Nixle is the fastest growing notification platform that's been built exclusively for public safety, and really more importantly, with input from our public safety partners. Everything that you see on that messaging page, the group creation page, was all done hand in hand with our police and fire and OEM mainly partners. What works for you? What's too cluttered? What will make your life easier? I love showing this map, and in this map, our many schools are represented as well, because even though we do talk about police and emergency response a lot with Nixle, we do have a lot of schools who will use us to send notifications out to their parents, to their teachers, students, even beyond that, even beyond their student information system. They'll create keywords that we'll talk about in a moment to get the community opted in, to get neighbors who live in near a school, near a campus, but maybe don't have kids in that school or going to that campus, but they're a part of the community, and they can help. They can be eyes and ears on the street, or they just want to know why there's a helicopter overhead, or you can invite them out to the game. There's a lot. The use cases are vast here, as is our agency base here. I talk about Nixle as being a network because it really is. I mean, you're not alone in what you do, which is keeping people safe, keeping them informed. And it's not just about the big emergency. It's about communicating, as I said, day to day, reaching out to your residents, reaching out to your stakeholders, whoever they may be, to your visitors, to your parents, business community, houses of worship, keeping them in the loop with the information that really matters to them. as you communicate regularly, as you communicate consistently, you keep building that user base for when it really counts, and that, that is in times of crisis and emergency, when you need to get a message out as fast as possible to as many people as possible, especially if you need them to act now, like a hurricane or a wildfire, an oil spill, or someone who's wanted or missing. So that community outreach, that leads to more engagement with your citizens, because they talk and share, and they look to you for information, and in the end they help spread the word to their friends and family and coworkers, getting more people opted into your network. And the more people you can get your message out to, the better your emergency response is. Right? I mean, it's obvious, but it bears repeating. A notification system is only as effective as the number of people you can reach through it, as well as the number of ways you can reach them, which I'll talk about in the next slide. But this is the basic value cycle of engaging your community on a regular basis, not just in times of crisis. So you've gotten the word out to get people signed up. And as you send messages, they get them, as I said, they talk about them, share them with others, your database grows. And depending on how those folks have signed up, from their cell phones, online, through the mobile application, it's important that you can reach them in as many ways as possible on the devices they choose and that they carry around with them. So it's important to be multimodal, because as an emergency manager like Dirk will tell you and has told you, in the event of an emergency, especially really bad weather where lines are down or power's cut, some lines of communication will fail. It's just the nature of the beast. And that's why you can't rely just on one channel. You want to send your messages across several different paths at once: text, email, web, app, ring up phone lines, social media. And for those actually unfamiliar with Nixle's Google partnership, you can even get your alerts to appear at the top of Google search results, and also on Google Maps and through Google Now, which in the case of bad weather, for example, where people are rushing online to get the latest info and radar track, you can get your Nixle alerts at the top of the page. So no matter how many people are subscribed to your alerts, you now technically have the ability to reach billions of eyeballs, whether you have 100 people opted in or 10,000 people opted in. That partnership with Google really kind of gets your message out there. And I mean, it's a funny story in a sense. It was a few years ago when Google approached us and said, hey, there was a tsunami that was in the news threatening the coast of Hawaii, and folks along the West Coast were worried that it might affect them. They might feel some of the after effects of that. And as people were running online to get information and typing in tsunami, they were getting hits like tsunami seafood and tsunami tofu, stuff like that. And so Google wanted a way to really make it relevant results. So hence our partnership that you can tap into. And I'll even talk about that a little more when I show you the messaging page. But again, you can tap into Google to reach a lot of folks. And just jumping back for a second to that other slide, in just a moment, I'll talk a little more about the ease of use of the system by showing you a quick live demo of the messaging interface. Everything is done on one simple, clean page where you can hit all those channels that we just talked about. I mentioned that your messages are only as effective as the number of people you reach, because the real heart of the Nixle system is how easy it is for people to sign up. The lower the hurdle to enrollment, the more folks you'll get subscribed. I see it all the time with all of our agencies. So there are different ways for people to sign up. Because they can do it easily from their mobile phones, you get a much higher opt-in rate than if you were asking them to go to a web portal, for example. They can go online to complete their profile or fill out a small widget that you can put on your website. And for folks who are listening who are using Nixle as we speak, if you don't have a widget up on your website, I do encourage you to do that, because besides the mobile opt-in, that's one of the more popular ways that people do opt-in, as well as downloading our resident app. But they can quickly enroll just by texting their zip code to the number 888-777. That's Nixle's short code. Now you've captured their cell phone if they do that, so you can text them. And even though it's a text message, you can include pictures, documents, any relevant take shelter information in up to 20,000 characters of text, which you're sending directly to all of your subscribers. And going back to that network effect for a moment, I often talk about Nixle as being like one of those Russian sting dolls where you keep pulling one out after another. Well, zip code opt-in is really similar. Again, as I said, we're all in this together and we can really help each other out. And that's really the point here. So zip codes are shared. And when someone texts their zip code to 888-777, they're potentially opting into more than just one agency. So if you live in Arcadia, California, or you work in LA or go to school in Pasadena, and text that zip code or zip codes to 888-777, you're enrolling to receive alerts not only from your local city hall or police or fire department, you're also signing up to receive alerts from LA County or from California Highway Patrol. So from the local right on up to the county or the state, depending on which agencies are using Nixle in your area. And like I said, you can text as many zip codes as you like. Maybe you have a grandmother living in Philadelphia, or she spends her days playing the slots in Atlantic City and you want to know what's going on there, where Granny is spending your inheritance money 1 quarter at a time. You can, that's not a personal story, trust me, even though I live in Philadelphia. You can opt in locally or anywhere in the country. And the flip side to that is that when an agency spreads the word and promotes zip code opt-in, neighboring agencies benefit. So if LA County tells all of its residents to opt in, if those folks live in Arcadia, then that city will see more opt-ins. If they live in LA or Pasadena, those departments will get more people subscribed to their notifications as well. And you can just keep building that pool of subscribers. It's that Nixle network. I'm biased, but it's really cool stuff. So those are zip code opt-ins. And you can also create keywords, and that's something that Dirk alluded to earlier with talk about internal staff and SWAT teams. So you can create keywords, both public and private, if you want to target a segment of your population or maybe employees who've texted a word that you create to that number, 888-777. So maybe you want to create a text message contact list for an upcoming event where you're doing crowd control, or an ongoing incident, or maybe cleanup after that incident, wanted persons for law enforcement, neighborhood watch groups, after-school activities for students, or again, letting neighbors know about coming down to events at the local high school. In a lot of cases, agencies use to even communicate directly with the local media for press releases and story updates. So keywords are interest-based or event-based rather than location-based, like zip codes. Either way, very simple way to sign up right from your phone. And Nixle's been used for...
Jim,
yeah.
Jim,
yeah.
Quick question. Yeah. We got a question from the audience. I think it's probably more appropriate to ask now on the keywords.
Sure.
So we have a couple higher ed institutions in K through 12s on. If they were, one of the questions was, how would we leverage this opt-in for us? Like, who would we be able to message using these keywords, and who would be able to opt into our alerts from a non-law enforcement perspective?
Sure, absolutely. So keep in mind that keywords are just a method to opt in. So you have a lot of methods that you can opt in, whether it's online or uploading your contacts through our import tool. So if you take a school, for example, you're probably going to do a blend of a number of things. You'll most likely already have, not most likely, you will already have an information system of your students and of your staff that you can just create groups and upload that contact information. So you essentially, from your own files, are opting those folks in. And in addition to that, you can create groups where you give people the chance to opt themselves in, So in addition to what you've imported into your, your school groups based on grade and building academic subject, you can have something that just says, Centennial community if you live in the Centennial School District. Then you can get the word out at various back to school nights or maybe at the school field, the athletic field. Hey, if you want to receive alerts and information from our school district to you, anything from fundraisers and boosters to emergency notifications, God forbid there's an incident on campus, whether it's hazmat or an active shooter situation. Now, not only can you reach out to your students and staff and parents because you've uploaded them into the system or had them opt in through a keyword, but as I said, you can have groups created for your outside community because we are all, stakeholders in our own community as well. Personally, I live about half a block away from a high school. I don't have kids who are old enough to be in high school yet, but I have seen a helicopter overhead there before, and I've wondered and I've talked to my neighbors, and there's just a lot of misinformation. Hey, what was that about? And then I go to the news at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. But if you were to send a message right out to me, then you can sort of dispel rumors and whatnot. So you can use anything from back to school activities, sports, talk to your neighbors and community, have people opt in from their phone, have them opt in online, or upload that information. So a lot of use cases. We also, I'll mention it when we look at the live data, the live demo that I'll show you, but there's also the ability to do anonymous reporting. So when it comes to law enforcement, think of it as crime reporting. If you see something, say something, you can text it in, you can fill it out online, and it gets to you. For schools, you can think of a use case for bullying or violence or a planned fight or party or vandalism, or maybe someone's just depressed or is having suicidal thoughts and they want to reach out to someone to get some help. They can just text in and then anonymously. If they choose to reveal who they are, they can, but it is truly anonymous. And even while it's anonymous, you can still reply. You can still have a two-way conversation with that person without them ever revealing your identity. So hopefully I've answered your question, at least to a certain point. But we can even talk afterwards about this, whoever is interested in getting more information. And I'll just kind of move along here for a second. So as I was saying about those keywords have been often used for events and large gatherings. So from the papal visit in Philly to the Super Bowl in the Bay Area, we've large festivals, parades, fireworks, again, wherever a lot of folks gather and you need to get information out to many people at once, traffic detours, heavy winds and rain, location of first aid tents, reuniting kids separated from their family. We've been used with great success there for large gatherings. Don't eat the yellow snow. Well, maybe not that message, but you get the point. One recent example is the use of keywords in the National Capital Region around the DC area last month. Montgomery, for July 4th. Montgomery County, for example, created the keyword MoCo July 4 and asked people to text that in. And they got nearly 3 times as many people opting into that keyword than they did signing up in a more traditional way, which is through their online portal on their website. Many of these folks were visitors to the area who would not have signed up online anyway because they were only going to be in that neighborhood for the fireworks and then head back home. So they were able to capture those residents and visitors who at the end of the event could just opt out as easily as opting in by texting stop to the same number that they texted that keyword to. Some examples of the messages that went out to subscribers in NCR that weekend. You'll see that up on your screen. At the end of the event, the county could also ask those subscribers that if they were interested in continuing to receive alerts unrelated to the 4th of July, they could respond with their zip code or sign up online. So you can gather those phone numbers for the event and keep the relevant ones for day-to-day messaging unrelated to the event. And even in the interest of schools, for example, create a keyword for maybe a conference you're hosting in a gymnasium where you have some VIP people coming or parent gathering, or you want to send that information for back to school night. You can use that as well. Just create keywords, either district-wide or school-wide or grade-wide, however you want to get that out. Because you're really putting the onus then on the message recipient. Instead of trying to organize all their information and make sure everything's up to date, you say, hey, if you want to receive this information, here's what you do. And if you want to stop receiving it, here's what you do. You just do it all from your cell phone. I'm going to take this minute now just to jump over to a live shot of our system. You should be seeing my screen right now. I'm going to log into a demo account, and I'll wrap this up in just 2 or 3 minutes here. So you're going to log into a demo account. When you log into a demo account, you see an overview page of any recent activity you've had. You've sent out a message, you've created a group, you've opted in people, you've assigned a keyword, you've received a tip, or you've responded to an anonymous tip. You see everything on your front page. What I'm really going to focus on is 2 things. I'll show you the groups page, and this is where you can create a number of those groups, both on the public side and the private side. So it's as simple as click on create a new group, give the group a name, assign it a keyword if you would like it to have a keyword up to 12 characters, and then you just hit create group. And then when you do that, it's now listed among any of these groups here. If you've given it a keyword, they're all unique. Anyone can pull out their phone, text missing kids to 888-777, and now I might send you messages regarding, children in your area who have gone missing or been abducted or have run away or are just juveniles at risk. Same thing with parade or press. And it exists on the public side, and it exists also on the private side, so you can talk to staff. It's really sensitive information for your eyes only. The main difference is public groups, no matter what kind of a message you send, whether it's a text message, whether it's an email, it always creates a web viewable message that anyone can see online. And it scrolls on your website if you create a message widget. So it's just another way for people to see your messages, even if they're not directly opted in. Once you have groups created and you click on the message center, this is pretty straightforward in sending out a message. There's a lot that you can do. I'm going to scroll down before I actually do anything on this page. I just want you to see the page. There's a lot that you can do on this page, but the basics in sending out a message, which really, can take as little as 20 seconds to send out a message, depending on how robust and how much information is there. But you choose a message priority level, and essentially that's low, medium, or high level red alerts. It's the red alert level, by the way, that gets pushed out to Google if it hits certain criteria. So you would have to click on red alert, and it would have to fit one of a dozen or 15 or so categories that Google accepts, and it's mostly severe categories like active shooters, missing children, tornado warnings, and whatnot, weather related. But you would choose your message type. You would type in your message. Let's just say it's a tornado warning. This is a text message. You can also write an email or a web message as well. You can say same as SMS so that your email headline is the same as your SMS message. You can write up to 20,000 characters here, and you can format the web message and the email with some HTML tools. You can attach files, photos, documents, PDFs, spreadsheets, anything. You have a flyer for an event, you can just attach it from your computer. Again, I won't click through everything here. You can send a voice message if you wanted to as well, so you can record your message. You can use text-to-speech, or you can upload a WAV file. So again, just in these 3 windows here, you're sending a text message, you're sending an email, you're publishing it online so people can view it online, and you're ringing up phones. You're ringing up phones.
Hey, Jim?
Messages. Yes.
Jim, we actually got a really good question since you're going through this, and you're right at that part where you can attach a file. So we had a question that just came in from Christian in the audience. He wants to know, can you put out graphics such as a photo of a missing child or a map outlining an evacuation area? Can you do that through Nixle?
Absolutely. So you can attach a photo of anything, a photo of a missing child, missing elderly. Maybe you want to talk about a parade route. Maybe you're a school district and you wanted to find out who was part of a fight, a school bus fight, or maybe the police officers are looking for someone in question who was part of a street fight. or a drug deal if someone snaps a picture and sent it in. You can attach photos, and like I said, you can attach documents that show an incident map. You can actually also create your own incident map here. So you can include incident location, put in your address, and that you send out will attach a Google map with a red pointer on it showing exactly where the incident is. If it's a detour that you want people to avoid, they can just see the map and say, oh, don't go to Third Market, but go around through, Race or Arch Street, example. But you can absolutely attach files to this message. Typically, when you send out a message, it will default to your default contact information for your department or your agency or your school district. But if it's a very specific case that you say, contact Detective Joe Smith in narcotics, that you can put his information here, and this is what will be appended to the message. But you can absolutely attach files, including JPEGs, TIFFs, any sort of images. Again, the voice dialing thing. As you create groups, whether they're public or private, they will appear here as part of your message recipients list. So you can check all of them. You can check just some of them. You can nest groups within each other. So if you're a police department and has multiple precincts, you can say, I just want to hit, precinct 1 in this message. Or you're just going to send a message privately to your staff, and you can do, again, one, many, or all. In addition to that, you can do some custom geographic filtering, depending on how folks have signed up and what information they've given you, whether it's a home address or nearest intersection if they've signed up online, or they've texted in their zip code, and maybe your agency covers a jurisdiction of multiple zip codes. You can do custom area, where you can actually, draw on the map. You can save those areas on the map, so you can just say, I want to hit, certain areas here together in multiple areas. You can do a more simple point and radius, where you can drop a point and say, I want to hit everybody who's provided geographic information in their profiles within a quarter-mile radius or a half-mile radius down to the household. I want to hit someone who lives at 220 Market Street. You can do that as well. And then if you are a county level or a state level, maybe this isn't as relevant if you're a smaller municipality or school, but you can target by multiple town, city names, and zip code as well, just by popping them in there. Send message now, schedule it for the future. Messages that you send expire in 24 hours, meaning the public that's posted on the web will disappear unless you extend that. By default, it's set for 24 hours after delivery. And usually it's because messages are often timely. Something's happening now, maybe a detour or impending bad weather, but you can stretch that out to as long as you need to. And at the same time, you can push to Twitter and you can push to Facebook. So think of Nixle also as a hub. Not only are you hitting all these channels, all of these modes, you don't have to log into Twitter. You don't have to log into Facebook. You just write your message and it'll post to both Twitter, Facebook, email, text, voice, app, online as well. Preview and then send your message. And it's as simple as that. I mean, I went through a number of steps here, sort of belaboring the point, but if you get the point. If you go in, all you really need to do is select message type. Let's say you want to send a text. Who is going to receive it? Preview and send. You can do it in seconds, literally. I mentioned earlier that we have the ability to solicit anonymous tips, and it's as easy as texting the word tip plus any keyword that you create to the number 888-777, and it will send a tip that will notify whoever on your Nixle account has tipping permissions. They can get a text or an email saying a tip has come in. I just saw him break into the corner house. I'll just use an example message here in various demos that I've done. So someone can text in a tip, and then you don't know who the person is who's texted in a tip. It's anonymous. I mean, because this is hooked up to me, it'll say my name, but normally it'll just say tipster. And then even though you don't know who it is, you can respond and have a back and forth conversation. If they submitted a tip via text, and you reply, it'll go back to them as a text. If they've submitted it online, which they can do through these embed buttons, that if you put this button on your website, here's the code, and they click on it, it takes them to a tipping page, and there's a bunch of information they can fill out. None of it is mandatory, but some of it will just jog, you know, maybe their memory. Hey, did you notice if they've had a scar or mark or tattoo, et cetera. For schools, you have this page customized for school language. So we'll talk about campus and grade, and some of the drop-down incident types will be school-related. So you can, if someone submits a tip this way, they will be given a passcode that's unique and a URL, and they'll be asked to check back there regularly in case they think of some other detail, or perhaps an officer or a school official has a question for them. They can get that. And one last thing I'll talk about, because I know we're short on time, is also the ability to, let me just go back here. Also the ability to do weather rebroadcasts. So you can set up National Weather Service rebroadcast in your area. If there is bad weather, whether it's a watch, an advisory, or a warning, you can set it up one time, say, hey, we are often affected by hurricanes, and we are affected by, you know, flash flooding. And anytime NWS sends out a message, an advisory, or an alert about that, I want it to go directly to, you know, this group, let's just say, you know, the Nixle Wire group, and I want it to go to Facebook and Twitter, and I want it to go as a red level alert. So you won't, once it's set up, you won't have to do anything else. It'll just take over and it'll send messages out. Some of our agencies won't send it out to their main public groups. They'll create a specific weather-related group and tell people, hey, if you want to receive weather notifications, text, you know, whatever, Calhoun weather to 888-777, and then just those people will get it. So I know I rushed through some of this in the interest of time, and as you can tell by a number of things here, there's more that you can do. There's things that you can look at, send messages, scheduled messages, you know, the way you can import contacts to various groups, just upload them, spreadsheets, or you can even write the information here with phone numbers. Hopefully this gives you an idea of exactly what the system looks like, how simple it is. And if anybody has any further questions, you know, that really wraps up for me. I'm going to hand it back to Mike. Actually, before I do that, Mike, sorry, I'm taking it back from you for a second. For folks who are using Nixle and have been using it for a while, we are soon to be releasing our publishing app, which is called EngageBridge. So we've got a resident app called OneBridge that people can download to not only receive your alerts, but they can also communicate with their neighbors in their area. So it's sort of like a two-way digital community forum that your messages also go into. But the publishing app is for you, for agencies to send messages from a dedicated mobile app. So you have the full abilities that the publishing page gives you. You can write your message, you can choose your groups, you can record your voice, you can push to social media, and more. This is coming out in, I believe, exactly 3 weeks from today. I believe August 24th is when this will be out. So you'll be able to download that and start sending alerts on the go via this dedicated app. Super excited about that, and I'm sure many of you are too. It's one of our most requested features. Again, that does wrap it up for me. Mike, I'm going to send it back to you in case there are any more questions, time allowing, for Dirk or myself. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, so we're going to quickly, we're just about out of time, so I definitely want to get to a couple questions. So a couple of them that I can answer. I'm going to start with, and actually before I start, if you do have a question we can't get to it, still submit it in the GoToWebinar panel by going to the questions drop down, because what we'll do is we'll either follow up via email or have a product specialist reach out to you to try and get you that answer as soon as possible. But the first question I want to address was from Corinne in the audience. And Jim, I'll take this one. So she wanted to know, is it possible to send alerts from our computer dispatch? So that is possible. You can do that through our Everbridge Suite platform. That is an upgrade from, that is the next level upgrade from Nixle. Again, we're all one company, just two separate solutions. Corinne, if you do have some more interest, what I'll do is I'll make sure one of our product specialists, sales engineers, reach out to you just to give you a little bit of background on how that works. I'm not going to cover it in detail now just because we are focusing on Nixle. in particular. But again, that is possible, and it is something that we have set up as a packaging for a lot of our customers on the Everbridge side. So the first question that I'm going to address for you, Dirk, and we'll do one each, one for you, Jim, one for you, Dirk, for the sake of time. It's from Erin in the audience. She wants to know, she works for a resident child care facility in Calhoun County, Michigan. She's fairly new to her position and recently started to look at, her current emergency response plan. She signed up for Nixle alerts for her zip code. Her question for you, Dirk, was, will she be able to receive, one second, I just lost that. She wants to know, will she be able to receive all alerts, all the alerts needed to notify her campus of an emergency that would impact the campus?
The answer is absolutely yes and more. In our county, we have 3 agencies. There might be more, but I know for sure of 3 agencies that use Nixle. And so you may get, I say may get, a couple weather notifications, as you illustrated in your presentation with the LA stuff. You may get one from us. You may get one from a township. But ours is dialed in pretty good, so if you're signed up and you put down your zip code, you're going to get ours for sure. I would also extend an offer to her that if she would like to contact me directly, since she's in my county, I will absolutely work with her on a one-to-one basis and help her in any way I can.
Excellent. So what I'll do then, Erin and Dirk, Dirk, I'll share your information. I'll send it to you, Erin, via email later today or tomorrow, and you can reach out to Dirk. Awesome. Thank you, Dirk. And
You're welcome.
Our last thank you. Our last question for you, Jim, for the sake of time. We had a question from one of our colleges that are on. They have a couple. They're a pretty big name college. They have a lot of large sporting events in the fall. Around football, basketball, etc. They want to know, are they able to, with the transient populations that are going to be coming in, are they able to capture those with the keyword opt-ins? Would they be able to use it for those populations like a law enforcement agency would use for, a large festival in a county? Would they be able to use that for a sporting event?
Absolutely. In fact, that is one of the primary use cases when a local agency, like a school district, and I kind of by default call everyone an agency. If you have a sporting event or multiple sporting events or teams, create the group, create the keyword, somehow get the word out, whether it's through signage at the stadium or maybe a school bulletin or a message home to parents, whoever's coming through. They can just opt in, and then as needed, you can send text. If it's game specific, when the game is over, you can just delete out those guys, and the next event that comes up, you can start another keyword. You have multiple keywords, so you can even keep them going for your sports team and your basketball team and your soccer team, however you want to do it, whatever events, whether they are sports related or just, after school extracurricular, it's up to you. You can keep them going, have people keep opting in and build up that database, or you can pop them in and dump them out as needed, but that's an absolutely, example of a great use case for keywords.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. And I just want to leave us with this note. So one of the things that, Jim's in charge of that I didn't mention is he's in charge of really helping communities, higher education institutions, agencies build their resident opt-in database. And I bring that up because one of the commitments that Nixle has, and one of the things we are trying to help agencies with is help them increase their opt-ins, make it easier for them to get residents receiving their messages. So one of the recent things we did, and I encourage you to, when you have a moment, check out the new Nixle.com homepage. It is a resident-friendly page that doesn't even focus on the product, just focuses on how residents can opt in. So if you are using Nixle currently or thinking about Nixle, in one easy way that people will remember how to sign up, feel free to encourage them just to visit the site. It is a resident facing site, so it'll tell them how to opt in through various different ways, from the text opt-in to the widget opt-in to providing additional information through other mediums. So with that being said, I want to thank our two speakers, Dirk Dunham and Jim Gatta, for their presentations, and of course our audience for spending the last hour with us. Thank you all, and the recording and slides will be sent within a few days. Thank you, and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.